Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Hockey Journey Podcast. Episode number 140. Logan Cuvo, founder of Best Damn Tape, Hockey Journey. Presented to you by onlinehockeytraining.com. I'm your host, Coach Lance Pitlick. If you're new here, please make sure you subscribe so you won't miss out on any future episodes. Before we check out another player's hockey journey, the slow and steady climb, the experiences, the ups, downs, and the pivot to his next chapter, and begin this conversation, if you want to learn more about me, my hockey experiences, what I know, and most importantly, how I've been helping hockey players get really good with a stick and puck, just head on over to onlinehockeytraining.com and gain instant access to my 10-part video series where I'll show you everything. Consider it my gift to you. Lastly, if you live in Minnesota or are visiting the state of hockey sometime soon and you want to schedule an in-person off-ice stick skills lesson, I'd love to have the opportunity to show you my little world. Go to sweethockeycoach.com, that's sweethockeycoach.com, and watch the video on the homepage for instructions. Thanks, and I look forward to working with you sometime soon. Today we have a special guest joining us on the Hockey Journey podcast, Logan Cuvo. Having started a number of small hockey-related businesses, I love hearing the history of a startup, but also the founder's voyage, which always begins venturing out at some point into an unforeseen landscape that might be dominated by some goliaths. Mr. Cuvo wasn't always a businessman, though. He played the game, so we'll begin there and work our way up to where he is now, owning a company that apparently has the best damn tape on the market. We have a lot to talk about. So ladies and gentlemen, please help me in welcoming the CEO of the Best Damn Tape Company, Logan Cuvo. Logan, welcome to the Hockey Journey podcast.
Lance, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I've been seeing your podcast for a while now, and I'm so excited that I can finally be a part of it and get to tell my story.
Sweet. Well, I'm equally as excited, and how I like to start all the shows where I'm interviewing someone is I'd like you to rewind your life tape, and let's take a moment, look in the rear view mirror, and go back to the beginning. You know, tell everyone where you grew up, what was your childhood like, what were your parents like, siblings, friends, your introduction to sports and hockey. Basically, tell the listeners in a nutshell what the heck it was like growing up Logan Cuvo.
Yeah. Wow. That's I love that. It's amazing. It all starts from hockey. My dad was a hockey player growing up his whole life. So was my uncle as well. So I was around it ever since I was a little kid, and first put on skates when I was 4 years old. And I honestly can say I didn't fall in love right away. It took me a little bit. And my dad really didn't want me to play. He wanted me to pursue different things and kind of press the agenda somewhere else. But I had a dream one day. I'll never forget it. And I come out to the living room and I tell my parents that I want to play hockey. And that was after spending a weekend with my uncle in Ocean City, Maryland at a hockey tournament. And I absolutely fell in love with it from there. And I never looked back. And going from there, I grew up in a little bit outside of Philadelphia and started playing hockey there at Grundy Ice Arena in Bristol, Pennsylvania. And really started there, started playing AA and house, trying to walk my way up through the ranks. And we moved out to the mountains in Pennsylvania as well, which is where I started my AAA career journey, which is really where things became serious and took off. And I played for the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Knights when it was like one of their first years as a AAA team at that age. And I was really young at that point. It was, I believe, first year that you could play AAA hockey. And then my dad got relocated again. And we moved to Ohio. And through all this, my dad and my mom both were so amazing and so supportive of everything that I wanted to do. And moving into these next steps in my life, I really was looking forward to it. And I knew that hockey was going to become a serious thing for me. And by the end of my 14-year year, I was moving out to go live in Detroit. I played a year up in Detroit.
Okay, time out. I'm calling a timeout because you are Speedy Gonzalez right now. You are going through way too fast for my liking.
I'll rewind.
I want to hear more about this. So let's just go back a little bit. We're still in Pennsylvania. You say that I want to play hockey, so you start playing. What was like here in Minnesota? I just want to see the differences because the winter time, well, not this past winter, but when I grew up and what I tried to provide for my kids is we had outdoor hockey, outdoor ice, pond hockey, stuff like that. Roller hockey in the summer. What were some of the extra stuff that you were doing? Did it get cold enough there where you had outdoor ice at all?
Not in Philadelphia area, but when we moved up to the mountains when I played for Wilkes-Barre, that was really the big thing that me and my dad did growing up. Was there was this local rink that some hockey players went out to. There wasn't very many, and me and my dad would always go out there and enjoy. And that's where I really first learned how to do different skills and really harnessed becoming a better hockey player at that point. And yeah, not as much as Minnesota, I can say, but it was definitely a for sure memory. When I was lived in the mountains and played for Wilkes-Barre up in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, there was a local rink that we always went out to and really spent all day out there. And definitely not as much as Minnesota has the ice, but we were definitely trying to make the most of it with the cold weather we got in the mountains sometimes.
So, you're starting to climb the ladder. You didn't do outside stuff, but I mean, what other things were you doing? Did you have a spot in your house where you were shooting pucks and messing around, knee hockey?
Yeah.
Were you playing street hockey with your buddies? Because most people don't know, but all of those activities, those unstructured activities, are super important for a player as they, climb the hockey ladder.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you on that. I can remember when as soon as we moved to that house and I started to take hockey a little more seriously, I'd spend all day in the basement. I had a little spot in the basement. Our basement wasn't finished completely, and I just tore up that back wall. I would shoot and shoot and shoot, and there was a huge hole in the back of the wall because I just keep shooting at the net, and I just had no remorse. I guess that's all I can remember was just a net, a hole the size of the net, back there from me hitting the wall so much.
Well, you look at all the childhoods of, you know, guys that make it to the NHL and they do a piece on them. There's always that component of,
Yeah.
Crosby was the washing machine or whatever, the dryer he would shoot
Mhm.
into there, and stuff like that. So that it's an important piece, and um, you got so you're starting to get the bug. And were you always playing on the top team as you were progressing through?
No, that really wasn't the case for me. I was okay. And I'm not gonna sit here and say I was an amazing hockey player at the end of the day, but I was, especially when I was younger, I didn't really come into my full form until I was around 15, heading into 16, and I felt like I'm a very tall guy. I'm 6'5" now, but at that point I was trying to grow into my body. And I was really lanky and didn't really know how to control myself or skate that well. So it all
Wow.
kind of came together. As I started to move up, if from there I had gotten cut from my first AAA team. And that kind of sparked am I going to continue to play hockey after my year of AAA? When we moved to Ohio. I got cut and I was devastated. I was heartbroken and didn't really know what I was going to do with my hockey career. I tried to pick up football actually and see if there was something there, but I didn't have love for it, and I found my way back to hockey. I was gonna just play high school hockey, and I got a call from the Indy Fuel, and it was an old AAA team. I think they folded now, but I got a call from them, and they offered me a spot to continue my AAA hockey career, and it just kept going on from there, and I'm super grateful for that. But no, I've not been on the top team my whole life.
So as you got to that point, I mean, and that, it one of my favorite sayings is, fall seven, rise eight. I don't
I
know
love
why it
that.
disconnects with me, but it's
I
just
love
like,
that.
all right, I'm coming down. I'm getting back up stronger than I went down. But, you had that first heartbreak where, you didn't get what you wanted, and you had that hard conversation with yourself and determined that you wanted to push forward. So, when you get to the indie, did you say it was the fuel, I think?
Yes. Yes, it
What
was.
was your mindset of what were you trying to achieve from there?
Yeah, at that point, I was really all in on the hockey and everything there. It was around that was 14 at that point. It was my 14U season, and we were an okay AAA team. weren't top of the pack. We were definitely lower on the My Hockey rankings page when you go look at it. But it was a great opportunity, and really my goal that year after was to progress to either Culver Academy, which is where I was going to go, or Detroit Bell Tire. And those were the two options for me that I felt were the best. And that was where I was going to make a move after that year. And so it was really a development year and try and keep pushing along and keep those opportunities there.
Okay, so what happened next? Did you go to one of those? Did you go to Culver's or to Detroit?
Yeah, I had an offer from Culver, and I turned it down to go to Detroit and played for Detroit Bell Tire and lived in Howell, Michigan. It's a little bit outside of Detroit. Um, and that was an amazing year. I really blossomed as a hockey player that year. I felt I was that was the year I got drafted in the OHL to the Oshawa Generals. Um, and then and then COVID hit, and it was a big mess that whole year. But I really do feel like that year was a big turning point for me in my hockey career, which was like, okay, I could actually take a run at this and have a good experience moving into juniors and beyond.
So, man, you just say the word COVID, and
Ah,
on top of all the stuff the world had to go through and the loss of so many lives,
absolutely.
it was a disruption to the hockey world. Even today, I
Yeah,
train so many college players, and because of the COVID year that they can exercise, where they get that fifth year, you got players that are used to being on the power play or the first two lines, and they buy their time the first year or two expecting to be there their junior senior year, and then all of a sudden the
man.
COVID year kicks in and they don't get that opportunity. So man, it's tough. So what happened when you went to Detroit?
Yeah, so there were a bunch of opportunities. That was some of the best hockey that I played. I got to play against so many NHLers who got drafted these past few years. Playing against Rucker McGrory, just so many different guys out there. Frank Nazar, um, just a few big names to say the least. And it was such an honor to be able to play against those guys. Now looking back at it, and what COVID really shifted a lot was I was headed to go to play for Team TPH at the OHL Cup that year, and COVID hit and it canceled our states before they could even finish, and that meant OHL Cup was canceled right after that. So it definitely put a nice little dent in the plans, but it was interesting. The Marlies tournament in Toronto that I played in that year, 15U, was unbelievable. I've never seen so many scouts in one place in my entire life, and it was I can still remember the feeling of my heart racing stepping out there for the first time on warm ups.
You talk about playing for Bell Tire. Uh, I'm from Minnesota, so we play community-based hockey during the winter, but then we'll put together teams with players from all the different communities, and then we'll go play some tournaments. So we used to play you guys Bell Tire, CompuWare,
Yep.
Little Caesars. I mean, you guys. I mean, Michigan was huge, and then you got Shattuck, Team Wisconsin, Culver's, all these great teams. So you're getting to play against the best hockey, because the 15s and the 16s, that's the best time for
Um,
uh, prep hockey, because all the top players are still there. They haven't, left to go to the USHL or up to the OHL or Major Junior up there. So you had some game, kid, if you're playing on one of them teams.
It's all right. It was a good time. It was awesome. It really was. I did enjoy doing that. And then, like I said, with COVID at that time, not only did it cancel the OHL Cup, but it really did put a wrench in what I was going to do the next year because I didn't know what was in the forecast. Like, I didn't know if Michigan was going to open up their rinks in October. And I also had this offer from Gilmore Academy, which is where I ended up playing after that year. That they had open ice 24/7, and it's a great education. And I will say for my career, my professional career, and where I am now, I could say that Gilmore was a great decision. But looking back, COVID and all that definitely altered the hockey landscape a little bit of what I was going to do. But it really was a good time, and I look back on it with only smiles and awesome. And my coach was even better. I can't say enough nice things about him. He was he definitely got on my case a lot, but I needed it. And he coached the '96 Bell Tire team, so he would coach Dylan Larkin, Zach Wierenski, Kyle Connor, Nadalkovich, all on the same team. So he knew the game, and I definitely respected being around him all the time.
Yeah. So, is there more to the hockey journey? What happened after COVID?
Absolutely. The whole thing starts with and then we go to Gilmore after that. And I had a decent year, at Gilmore, my 16U year. I was a big scorer when I played. I didn't really get too many assists, sadly. I wish I did, but, I had ended the 16U year, played a few games with our 18U team. And really going to Gilmore was a great experience for being able to be on the ice all the time during COVID. As soon as I got there in August, I was able to be on the ice 24/7, which was huge, especially in the year of 2020. And the education was just unmatched. I learned so many different things about myself and what I could do education-wise. I never really pushed myself past the limit of just an A or a B. And those classes and that curriculum was definitely interesting. And at the end of that 16U year, I was drafted to the NCDC, and didn't go and I made the training camp for the NCDC Islanders that year after, but decided not to go, and still come back and graduate from Gilmore for my 18U year. And it was a great time, my 18U year, but I didn't play as much as I would have thought I was going to. But I was still honored enough I was still amazing to get drafted in the NAL to the Titans, and almost made that team, and then also signed a tender to the NCDC that year for the Boston Advantage, and went and played in Boston a couple months after that, and that's really where it ends and picks up on the tape and everything with the tape. Moving in Boston was an interesting case. A month out, before I get there, were all good things so far, and then we get told the billet situation was that we had to find an apartment by ourselves, and it was very eye-opening and interesting to see that side of, okay, this is junior hockey. And I get there, and like you were just talking about, all the rollbacks, all the guys who were getting sent back from college to go play juniors again, or just keep rolling back guys all the way to the lowest level. It's just the effect that keeps going on, and it's it was definitely interesting. I didn't play much when I was there, and went for a showcase over the weekend, and went for 3 games, didn't play a single game, and I didn't know where I didn't know who I was. It was really definitely identity crisis time for me, because I was going home. I didn't want to be treated like that. I went home and pursued playing my last year of hockey with the 18U Jackets, just to kind of close it out and end it on a great note. And I had a great year with them, but nothing too notable. I had signed a tender to play in the NCDC, but I had started the tape company at that time, and through my dad being an entrepreneur, when he's been an entrepreneur for himself in the hockey industry for since 2017, and he has a pro stock hockey company, and had a guy who sold tape to him. And when I was coming home from Boston at that time, he had asked me if I wanted to do it, and I made it my baby. And it's now a year and a month into selling. And if you would have told me a year ago, after just talking about all that I would be here, I'd call you crazy.
Wow. So you're telling me that the pivot, happened where you made the decision that that it's just not going to work out for you, and you're going to move on to the next chapter. And when you're driving home, that's when the conversation happened, and all of a sudden you're starting a tape company.
Yeah, it really is
Wow.
crazy. I wanted my energy to be somewhere else, and I've said it a couple times already that, like, when I got that first sale of selling a roll of tape, once we got it, it was like scoring a goal for the first time when I was a little kid. And it just brought me back that feeling, and to be around hockey, still, even after having such an interesting experience and thinking I lost a lot of love for it, but realizing that it was just a bad experience at that point. And the game has brought me everything I could ever ask for, meeting the most amazing people, most amazing experiences, and I couldn't recommend playing hockey enough to learn more about yourself and life.
There's statistics for NHL players when you retire that, you think about it, it's what you've been doing your whole life. That's been your hyper focus,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden it's gone. That it can take up to 2 years for you to really transition into life after hockey. Did you still, even though you were kind of going into this new path, did you have some times, sitting around saying, man, could I have done it one more year to just see? Did you have any of those thoughts?
Yeah. So I was definitely I was actually just gonna segue into that. That's perfect. After I had signed a tender to play in the NCDC again at the end of my 18U year, when I was still getting the tape company up and running, and then decided wasn't gonna go, and told them that before that the tenders were finalized, so it wasn't too bad. But and then I was just gonna go play ACHA for West Virginia University, and it was great. I in I'm through the reciprocity program. Reciprocity is I get in-state tuition at West Virginia University through a specific major that I'm in. So I'm in entrepreneurship. So I got a great deal going to there, and they have a great hockey team for ACHA. So I was going to continue there, and I'll never forget. I was actually in Bangkok, Thailand, and my dad was sitting in this room, just I believe having a beer before we were about to get on our flight, and I walk in, and I've been mustering up this courage the whole week to tell him that I didn't want to play hockey. And it was a very, very interesting moment in my life and in my whole family's life, because it was just a constant that was there forever. And I told him, and
Hey,
before I could even get it out, I started crying, and it's just something that has been a part of me, and felt like it wasn't right, but it was right at the same time. And he was like, "Man, you don't need to be that upset over that." He's like, "I would have accepted that if you would have told me 10 years ago." And I'm like, "Yeah, I understand that completely." And it was great. I will always look back on that and cherish that moment.
well, it's a tough road, and unfortunately, you, like many players, had an obstacle that was completely unforeseen that you had to try to get through. Do you have any regrets? Do you wish you would have did something different? Would have did more or something?
Yeah, it's actually another great question. I was just talking about this a few days ago with my dad. How there are decisions that I did make throughout my career that I felt weren't the best for my hockey, but they were the best for me as a person. And I felt as if I would have stayed in Michigan that year after COVID. I had the opportunity to go play for Little Caesars after that for their 16U team. And obviously that may have been the better choice for hockey and maybe my hockey career, but going to Gilmore with that education, I can't be more grateful. to do that. And there was another opportunity with when I played in the Null the Null All-Star game. After it, I got called into the room and was told that I didn't make the team, and I was offered a spot on the 18U team again because I had another year of eligibility and a tender for the Null team, and I turned it down because my family wasn't really looking to pay for hockey again another year. And I feel like that decision was definitely interesting just to see where it could have went from Boston to there. But I like to say there's no regrets at the end of the day, and everything's a lesson.
It's hard to see the lessons or the full picture when you're going through it. When you're sitting in wherever, healthy scratch for the third day in a row. I've been there. There's nothing anyone can say to you that, is going to make you go, okay, that makes sense. I should be cool with this. It sucks. But, when it's all said and done, you can look in the mirror and did you empty the tank? And it sounds like you did. So move on and on to the next thing. And now what you're going to find out, and I'm sure you've already seen that, is how connected the hockey world is once you get out of it and you see it's just it's another game within the game, isn't it?
It's so amazing how connected the hockey world is. It's so small. I'll meet someone that likes my photo on Instagram and DMs the Instagram account that I played with when I was 15, and it's just so interesting to see how much support I get from all of my buddies, even if they weren't ever on my team. Just to how much support I get around the tape company and everything. It's so awesome, and definitely leaving the game and looking at it from an outsider perspective. There's so many connections that you don't even realize are there and have always been there through hockey. Especially when your whole life is it. Mostly every connection you make is stemmed from hockey in one way or another. And it's just so awesome.
Well, let's see if the stat it worked for you. So the Youth Hockey Association that I coached in for over a decade, the president at the time, he would always have a meeting with all the coaches at the beginning of the season. And the last thing he would say would be, you know why we're doing this, everyone? Is because kids that play sports generally stay out of courts. So did the sport keep you out of court?
Yes, it did.
All right, there we go.
There we
go.
That's so true. That's such a great thing to preach. I mean, that's what I'll tell my kids at the end of the day. That if you're doing a sport, then you're really staying out of trouble in most ways. I mean, maybe you'll find a way to get in trouble here and then, but it's for the most part you're pretty level-headed and focused on a certain thing.
Yeah. So, Logan, there's a lot of parallels between you and I because when I called it quits and my hockey career was over, I didn't have much time to think, and I didn't know what I was going to do. The only thing I did know, and I've said this before on several other podcasts, is that I didn't know why, but when I retired, the one objective that I had, and I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I didn't want to have to work for anyone ever again. I didn't, because, your future is in the puppet master's hands, and sometimes it doesn't matter what the heck you do. You just, you don't get the opportunity and, whatever. So I didn't want that. So I didn't know what I was going to do. But what did happen is that I got jumped into something. I had hired a guy to remodel a cabin. He couldn't find anyone to help him. So I went up there and didn't know anything much more than swinging a hammer. And he taught me everything. And I did that for 3 years. So it was harder for my wife. She would always ask me, couldn't you play one more year? But for me, when it was over, it was over. Yeah. And I was grateful that I was able to jump into that. So let's transition into your business, Best Damn Tape. And you said that your dad, pro shop owner, and a friend or someone that he would buy tape from had this. And let's just start from there, and we'll go. You can take it from there and go through the story.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, like I said, I was coming back from Boston that one time, and my dad, I have a really, really, really good relationship with him. He's more my business partner than anything. Um, and was really talking to him on my way back from my 13-hour drive, and he was like, "Hey, you know that guy who sells me that tape, from Dublin? Dublin's an area probably 40 minutes away across the city in Columbus." And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, he's done with it. He doesn't wanna do it anymore. And he had just done it for his buddies, and he made it for his buddies who played beer league. It was really on the side, and didn't take it too seriously, and sold the rest of the stock he had, to my dad. So, and gave him the manufacturer as well. And he was like, if you want to do this, you can. And my dad being my dad, he had gone, as soon as he gotten that from him, he had gone on Fiverr and had the logo made randomly. And that's the logo we see today as Best Damn Tape. And he made that probably like 5 months before it was even thought about. And coming from there, I contacted the manufacturer, and we'd originally got it done in China. But we just switched just these past few weeks. We are now working with an American manufacturer, which is amazing for us. But back to the one in China, it was good. I mean, the first shipment was amazing. My dad gave me $10,000 from the company that I had to pay back to him. The first thing I had to do was pay him back that money before I could do anything else. And so I had to sell all that tape right away. And going into that market, I knew what I was going up against, but I don't think I did when on that 13-hour drive home, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. So I didn't think I knew there, but after I sat down, I knew that there was room for growth in this market, and there's room for expansion, and I want to be the next big thing, the next cool thing in hockey, and really show why it's the best damn tape.
Okay, so there's all kinds of different tapes. Let's just start, because if you obviously use the product, so when you're driving home, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
you know what the competition is out there. How
Yeah.
did you kind of just jump in with both feet, saying, you know what, this is better than everyone else, and I'm gonna do it?
I feel like, yeah, with my dad owning the Pro Stock company for a while, he had been getting that tape for a little bit from that guy, and he was like, "Here, have this tape." And the first time I used it, I was like, "Wow, this is really different. I think I like it." And one thing I can say about our tape is that it's a lot clearer, especially the clear tape, which is what we came out with originally, our flagship product, just because it's so much different than everything else. It's when you put it on your sock, it's really clear. You can see right through it, and it's got a lot of stretch to it, so you don't need to put as much tape around your leg to keep it tight. And it was very interesting to me always, and all of my buddies had always wanted to use it wherever I was. So I was like, this is a great product. I have to do this, and jump feet first, 2 feet first in it, like you said, and really started doing market research as soon as I came back. And what I gained from a lot of the market research was that we know the big player, and really the big thing that you can do in our market is you have to be cheaper than the best, and you have to be cheaper but still have better quality than them. And you still need, because it's such a commodity good, that a lot of people who come into a pro shop or anything are just going to look for the cheapest thing on top of an already expensive game that we play. So that's where I saw room for growth too, especially if our margins work correctly, which they did. And we usually come in under the market for all of our products.
So one thing about hockey players, Logan, is that, as you know, we're loyal. We're loyal. I use Bauer skates, and at any time if someone said you're using CCM next year, I don't know what I would have done. So I don't. I mean, I don't know if I can play in those skates, but I probably could have. But I mean, I'm sure the tape is the same way. Are you getting a good conversion? Because do you have just sock tape, or do you also have stick tape as well?
Yeah, so we have sock tape. We have white and black cloth tape, so stick tape, and then we just ordered double wide as well, and we also have wax in 2 different scents.
So how's the conversion rate? Are you're getting it into people's hands, and all of a sudden you got a customer for life? Is that how it's been going?
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of. I feel like the main thing, especially our company and tape companies in general, which Howie's does an amazing job at, is marketing and brand likability and notoriety. That's the biggest thing, especially with such a small product that I really like you said, it's the same at the end of the day. And and we just have to keep driving the next generation, especially towards our products, because that's where Howie's is where they are now. They've been around for 12, 15 years now, and have gotten this next generation of young players who are now in the NHL, NCAA, who really love their products. Like you said, they're creatures of habit. I was a creature of habit. We all are, and it's a very interesting thing. But through our connections with my dad's pro stock company, we did a different marketing approach than what a normal company would, with pushing out ads and trying to pay for different sponsorships and different things like that. We really wanted to, like you said, we wanted to get it into the players' hands and see if they liked it in the first place. And that was the whole case with us. And we consider our sample costs to reaching out to these different programs and teams as more of our marketing costs for different things, and pushing it out to different NHL rooms, just getting it in there for guys to see it, even when it comes back. And like, if I bother them again in another couple months to send some more, that's they saw it once already. So just getting it in those rooms has been really big for us, and just expanding.
Boy, so you're having fun, because there's all kinds of things that you got to do.
Yes.
That you have to wear a hat for. Your marketing, distribution. Yeah, and you got 2 choices. You can either pay someone to do that for you, or you do it yourself. And most of us small business owners, for sure at the beginning, we do all of it ourselves.
For sure.
What are some of the things, do you think, in your first 4 months, 5 months, that you overlooked, that you wish you would have, dialed it up differently?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like with getting more traffic to our website right when we launched, I feel like pushing that website traffic and getting those numbers to there would be a big thing for us. Obviously, it's picked up over the months, but right off the rip, just using, like I said, our marketing costs for the different teams was definitely interesting for our company. We're kind of at a stagnant point, waiting for word back on the samples. And really, our big jump was 3 months in, when Anaheim had bought 15 cases for the season, and we were like, wow, this is amazing. And then your confidence goes up, and you just want to keep going. And I definitely feel like I wanted to push more traffic to, and knowing that now, with how much there's an algorithm to every social media thing, and how much you comment, how much you post, how many you like pictures, stories, it all goes towards how much Instagram is going to promote your photo and bring it onto other people's feeds. So it's a very interesting thing, and I wish I would have brought a little more brand likability before we launched on our websites.
Yeah, it's tough, and I'm sure that you wish you had more cash, but we all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is it possible to compete with these players on a shoestring with just tenacity and working on educating yourself on best practices, social media? Because I still don't figure it out. My partner and I, we're still working on it. But it seems like once you get something figured out, then that doesn't even exist anymore. You got to learn the next thing. We just can't keep pace.
Right. There's we want to make big strides. We want to do different things in the tape industry. We want to be able to. I want to be more of a. I want to be hands-on, and I say this a lot. I don't want to be a CEO who steps away and lets everyone else do it for me. I want to still be there, and I know that's a thing that a lot of probably small businesses say, but obviously I want to have some different employees when we start to expand, but I want to be able to one fostering those connections with the people, with the equipment managers, and really create that bond between the buyer and the seller. And I feel like after learning how to sell a little roll of tape out this long, I feel like the relationship is one of the biggest things when it comes to selling, and that's really what you have to push. Your relationship with the customers is even harder to wrap your head around because you don't talk to these people, you don't even know who they are, and really making them feel liked about and that you care about them with your brand. I feel like is our next step when we're thinking about content. We really want to bring something more personable and likable to them.
Are you going to get out into the trenches and, work some, because I hear in Minnesota in March they got the big hockey expo.
Yeah,
I know there's a bunch of, Chicago has a huge tournament.
yeah, I really want to keep doing that. We actually just attended a trade show for equipment managers across hockey, equipment managers and athletic trainers. It was called FATSFEM, and it was held down in Orlando. It was absolutely unbelievable experience for networking, for business, just meeting people in general. It was awesome.
Now that you're on the other side as not being a player, it's it's crazy how many things are operating behind the scenes that are
Yes.
related to the game of hockey.
And I have so much I have
It
so much
really is
respect for
unbelievable.
those guys. So much respect for those guys. And I tell them that, like to their face, I'm like, you guys, and what a lot of people don't understand, and through the years I've had such a great relationship with a number of different equipment managers just through my dad. And them coming through into town and us taking them out to eat and different things like that. But they're trying to climb, if they're not in the NHL, they're trying to climb the ranks just as much as the players are. And it's just as important to them to make their players happy, to make the management happy, to do what they're supposed to do. And like I'm saying, there's a lot of equipment managers that I know, and for good measure, most of the things that they do or buy are going to be things that their players like and love, and that's how they keep a well-oiled machine. And it's really crazy. Those equipment managers, I suggest anybody listening to watch an equipment manager like a 30 for 30 or like a pack up of what they do after the guys leave a locker room. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that is true. I in the NHL, that's something that you do in pro hockey,
Yeah.
where you tip the trainers. I don't remember tipping the trainers in college. I probably did, but for sure. And I leaned on them heavy, so I gave them, what I thought, what I could afford. I wasn't making 10 million, so. But anyways, what's what I see that you got, so you got the sock tape, you got the cloth tape, you got the wax. I saw you got some swag there.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any other um, products that you might be coming out with that you could share with us, or are you just kind of locking down on what you got here, preparing for the holidays?
Oh, definitely. I'd say in this next month, this is like one of the first times I'm announcing it. This next month, we're gonna have double wide cloth, white and black. So
All
we're really
right.
excited to launch that. And we are also this next week, actually, we're launching a new scent of stick lamps, and it's butterscotch marshmallow. It's gonna be awesome. I'm really excited to get that one out to everyone. And after that, I don't really have a timeline on when we're going to introduce the next things. It kind of comes as we expand. And I really say that I'd like to tell people that we're going to expand as many times as 5x in a year because that's just how much I believe in the company. And don't like to put too much of a time frame on that. But I would say that grip tape is definitely next in the book after that. And moving in after that, there's definitely a lot of area for accessories. There's really only one accessory person in all of hockey, and it's Howie's. And athletic tape as well. That was a
Yeah.
big thing when we went to Fats Fem. There was a lot of athletic trainers who were asking us about athletic tape, and we're really interested. So The manufacturer that we're aligned with in the United States has amazing medical tape. So we're really looking forward to hopefully expanding into that and seeing what we can do. Especially because with medical tape, the options are endless as well. It can go to baseball, it can go to any sport under the sun. And the medical tape market, just outside of hockey, just tape in general for sports is close to $1 billion. So it's definitely a lot of room for growth in there.
Well, you got a lot of different rivers you can travel down. So I got a suggestion for you. Okay,
I love it.
Because in all my time, I don't know if Howie sells the smelly wax or whatever, but I don't know what butterscotch has to do with scoring goals. Maybe there's some scientific study, but I think maybe the next scent you might come out with would be the goal scorer scent or the Dishin magician scent or something like that. Just a suggestion.
I've definitely been thinking about trying to put a creative name or a creative twist on the stuff we have, and one of the main reasons, back to the name of Best Damn Tape, we really wanted to be able to put that in front of a lot of different things that we were going to do with this, and I feel like it does work pretty good, and I want to definitely get a little more creative, especially with the wax. I feel like it's our most creative area and where we can be the most free with what we do.
Well, you young people, I just look forward to seeing what you come up with, what creative ideas, and how you're gonna improve the game. And it just seems like, how can it keep on being improved? But someone figures out a way. So how can people find you? And if the hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people that are gonna be listening to this episode, are you gonna cut them a little deal? Can they get some tape for a little discount?
Absolutely. If you go on to www.bestdamntape.com and order whatever you'd like from our site, it's 25% off with the code TheHockeyJourney, all one word, all capitals. I really appreciate it. If anyone would also like to reach me, my email is logan@bestdamntape.com.
Awesomeness. I will put all of that information in the description so people can easily access that. Congratulations on your hockey journey. I know that we all wish we could play a little longer than we did, but you were part of it. You left the game grateful, and you already started to give back to it. And down the road, who knows if you get back to coaching, but it's just that full circle of experience to experience, and you're just trying to improve. And our goal, what is our goal? Is to just try to make kids play the game as long as they want to.
Yep. I just want to promote as much happiness and positivity to the game of hockey. I feel like, especially in recent years, especially once kids get out of youth hockey, I feel like it gets lost somewhere in there. So,
well, Mr. Cuvo, that's a wrap for this episode. I want to thank you for spending some time with us here on the Hockey Journey podcast. I'm super excited to try the best damn tape on the planet. I think players around the world are going to love it. Keep chasing your dream, brother. It's a fun ride as you're experiencing with lots of challenges, but those are just feedback in wrapping paper, and that's what gets us up in the morning. So if there's anything that I can do to help you along the way, please don't hesitate to ask. Best of luck, Logan, and thanks again for sharing your journey.
Thank you again, Lance. I appreciate it.
Well, that concludes another episode of the Hockey Journey podcast. I can't thank you enough for stopping by and listening. I hope you enjoyed hearing Logan Cuvo's hockey journey and the early stages of the next phase of his hockey business life. Lastly, if you think there's someone in your circle of family and friends that might like this episode as well, please share it with just one person. It will really help me in growing this hockey community. Again, I appreciate you being here. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, or submit a review. I hope to see you back here soon, and do me a favor, make someone close to you smile today. All the best, my friends.